there really anything more adorable than a robot with glowing nipples? Do you enjoy adorable robots, especially when they come in the 3 primary colors and maybe a secondary color as well? If you do, stick around because tonight we're taking a look at Sparks. Sparks is a dice drafting game for 1 to 4 players. Spanning the course of 4 rounds, players will be drafting dice to build robots and possibly upgrade their factory, helping them build said robots more efficiently. And on a player's turn, do they just simply pick one of these dice? No, that would be too easy. They must choose one of their 4 production tiles and follow the specific drafting rules for each one of them. And not only are they constrained to using those tiles, when they do use those tiles, most of the time they will have to draft dice from the ends of the market display thing. What is that even called? It's my favorite part of the video when I don't know the terminology. The junkyard. It's called the junkyard. For example, if I used this production tile, this grants me 4 of the dice. So I could take maybe these 4 here, and this particular production tile allows me to re-roll some of those dice should I choose. This one here lets me take 3 dice. Again, I have to take them from the sides, but it also lets me draw 2 additional dice from the bag and roll them. And this production tile here also allows me to draw 3 dice as well. However, this one does let me break that rule of having to draft from the ends. So I could take any of the 3 middle dice as long as they're grouped together. And this one here changes depending on the number of players, but this one will let you take just a whole bunch of dice. This one will let you take 5 dice in a 1 to 3 player game, or the flip side of it, in a 4 player game, you only get to take 2 dice, but you also get a gear, and gears can come in handy. But once the active player has taken their dice, going around the table, the other players, they may select 1 die as well, or 2 dice in a 2-player game, but they too also have to make their selections from the ends. So say the active player used this production tile and took these 3 dice here, then the other players would have to take either this die or that die. And then once all players have selected their dice, they will then simultaneously put those dice either on their factory board or on the robots, trying to complete the robot. Which is something I really enjoy, is that there's very little downtime in this game. A lot of the gameplay is simultaneous, and the play that isn't simultaneous really only takes a few moments. And if you've played any modern board games, you probably already know what the rules are going to be for placing these dice on these adorably illustrated robots. For instance, this square here obviously has to have a red die on it. And then the die pictured next to it has 6 pips. So the color doesn't matter as long as it has 6 pips on there. And now that would complete that robot. Now when you complete a robot, you advance your scoring marker on the matching robot's track. So this was a red robot, so then I would advance my adorable little robot Meeple along the red robot track. And that is a way that you will get a good chunk of your in-game points. Depending on where your robots are on there, you will score the points printed at the top. And not only that, you will also get upgrades and little perks and bonuses along the way, which those are randomly put out each game, which is kind of cool because then it sort of changes the strategy and feel of the game just a scotch each time you play it. And when you complete a robot, you'll just set it next to your player board. A lot of the robots will give you additional benefits. Say this one lets me advance along on the blue track, or this one here gives me 2 1 dice, or this one here actually has like an ongoing ability that I can put power or electricity on it once I've completed it to gain the benefit printed. And in this case, I get 2 extra cogs. And cogs are cool because they're kind of like a currency. You can always burn one of your cubes, just discard it for a cog, but then you can also use the cogs to add or subtract a pip from the dice. So you could turn a 2 into a 3, or turn a 2 into a 1. However, you can't turn a 1 into a 6 or a 6 into a 1. It's kind of a bummer because, you know, that's always good in games, I think, usually. Kind of like a failed-ish game thing where you're like, oh, turn this 1 into a 5 with only two workers. Or am I just 2 Castle of Burgundy this evening? Burgundy? Oh, but you can also use those cogs too to buy assistants. There are these assistant cards that will get you in-game points, and some of them will also give you perks and bonuses and help you throughout your journey, attempting to amass the most points by the end of the game. Your first assistant costs 1 cog. Your second assistant costs 2 cogs. Your third assistant, you guessed it, costs 3 cogs. And not only will you score the printed point value in the upper right-hand corner of these assistants, they will also be a multiplier at the end of the game for how you've upgraded your factory. But in addition to placing dice on the robots to complete them, you can also place the dice on your player board. So I could have maybe put this yellow here and this red one here. And then what you can do is you can upgrade your factory. So here I have a total of 9. So as long as the total sum of those dice exceeds the printed value here on your board, you can discard them to upgrade your factory, gaining the perk printed on the side here, and then that also increases the multiplier that you'll score for your assistants. So you could get up to 6 points per assistant that you have. And the printed perks here are like these tools which let you get these tiles here that can upgrade your factories. And these tiles will allow you to gain extra cogs or extra movement on the boards when completing robots, or you can get extra energy. And the energy is awesome because if you complete some of these robots that have this little energy symbol down there, it's like a perk that you can reuse every round. Because once gameplay has made it all the way around the table and each player has been the active player once, then all of those powers will come off of those robots and go back to your little bank here. So that way you can keep charging them and charging them and charging them and reaping the benefits. Kind of a little engine buildingness going on there. I would like to pause for just a moment and mention that this is a review copy provided by the publisher, but all the thoughts and opinions are my own. And please consider clicking that subscribe button and notification bell, especially if you find any value in my content. And as always, Marcy May receives a pepperoni for each new subscriber. That's why she's so fat. But back to the robot cards. Once you complete them, you collect them and put them to the side of your board, you'll also gain 3 points for each set of yellow, green, blue, and red robots that you've collected. So you want to try to collect diverse colors of these robots. Then in preparation for the next round, you discard any remaining dice on the junkyard, and then you replace them with new dice from the bag, randomly placing them out there. And if you find it difficult or weird to do so, it does say that you can roll each die before placing them on the junkyard. I feel that's a little tedious and adds unwarranted time to the gameplay. And then players also have to refill their assembly line, but before doing so, they can choose to discard any cards from their assembly line and sell the dice on there for cogs, but you will draw robot cards equal to the number of empty slots down here +1, and then choose them to fill those slots, placing unused cards on the bottom of the robot pile. And then rinse and repeat for 4 rounds. And then after 4 rounds, players will tally up their score, which is points that they get from the track, points on assistant cards, printed points on any upgrade tiles that they obtained, 3 points for each set of colors that they've collected, and 1 point for every 3 cogs. Cogs. 3 cogs. And 8 points from these gold tiles if you're playing with them. And there's really no reason not to play with them. Just play with them. Play with them. Play with them. That sounds weird. So that is Sparks. The production on this game is really nice. The cards, the art on everything is exquisite. I really love how they found a way to make these robots look so cute. It's really, really great art. The card quality is excellent. They have a nice linen finish. The cards shuffle well. The dice are okay. They seem like a nice quality. They're a little on the smaller side, but that's fine. The wooden pieces, the little wooden cogs, the little wooden robot meeples they give you are totally awesome. The player boards are really nice and thick. The rule book is nice and clear. The game is easy to teach. It's probably like just a couple minute teach. And the game is fairly quick and straightforward. I could almost argue that the game is too quick. I almost wish the game was a little bit longer. It certainly does not outstay its welcome, that's for sure. But you only end up getting 4 turns as the active player, and then during the other player's turns, you only get to pluck 1 more dice. So you really only get about 23, 25-ish dice somewhere in there. So you really got to make sure that every die you get counts. But having to use those production tiles to obtain the dice and having to take from the ends really make that kind of a difficult puzzle. And I really think those production tiles are an interesting mechanic to the game. Really kind of making you think, when do I want to use this specific production tile? For instance, maybe there's a bunch of dice out there that are the right color, however, they're not exactly maybe the pips that you're looking for. So maybe now's the time to pull the trigger where you can draw 4 of them, which is quite a few dice, and then you get to re-roll them. Or maybe none of the dice out there are really what you're looking for, so you use your 3 production tile to just take 3 of them, but also draw 2 randoms from the bag. But I really think that's kind of a neat twist on the drafting mechanism. And there's kind of an engine buildy feel with what cards you complete, because some of them have the energy sections on them where you can drop your energy on them to get extra stuff. Or maybe you want to focus on upgrading your factory, so that way you get a little more flexibility and bonuses in your gameplay by getting those upgrade tiles for your factory, because those can be really handy, getting some of those tiles, get extra movement on the tracks, or getting extra gears to help kind of maybe mitigate the luck of the dice, be able to adjust pips, or using those gears to get more assistants, because the assistant cards can be very valuable, getting you perks and bonuses, and the assistants are a great multiplier for in-game scoring. Not only do you get that point value in the corner, but also if you're able to upgrade your factory high enough, you'll be getting up to 6 points per assistant card. But all this engine building, you better build it quick, because again, you only get 4 turns as the active player. But I was pretty excited about this one when I first saw it. I mean, the box art, I think, really grabbed your attention. Looks great. I love drafting games. I love dice games. One of the designers is the same designer as Sagrada, which was absolute amazing dice game. And then one of the other designers has also designed one of my favorite games, Revive. And most recently, he has designed Guardlings, which that game was kind of a sleeper hit for me. One of my favorite games to come out in recent history. It's an excellent push your luck bag building. I'll put that review up here. Check out that review. It's an excellent game. So yeah, seeing the designers that designed this game and the art and everything, I was really excited to try this one. It didn't disappoint. I enjoyed it. Maybe not as much as I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to absolutely love this game. I do enjoy it. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. I do recommend this game. I kind of wish it was a little longer, or maybe that you had more time to build your engine. But I mean, it is kind of cool that it creates a sense of urgency to get it done. And I like the production tile restraints that they put on the drafting. I think that's interesting, and having to take the dice from the ends. Overall, it's a good game. I definitely recommend giving this one a try. And that is Sparks. Does anybody remember that drink that was Sparks? It came in like 16-ounce cans, and it looked like a battery. And not only was it an energy drink, it was also booze. It was like something silly, like 9%. Maybe that was an Ohio thing. I don't know, but it was back in my party days. Whew.